Hello, and thanks for joining us for this video on autism strategies for EMS and first responders. Chances are you know an autistic individual who are members of your family, your neighborhood, or even your community, and likely have provided support for people with autism needing help of EMS or first responders. Maybe you're just learning about autism or you're super familiar with the topic. Either way, our group is here.
My name is Kay. Thanks for helping us today.
As a parent, I can't thank you enough for your help. To learn more about understanding people with autism, and I hope my insights make it easier to work together as a team when emergencies happen.
So maybe let's start with just some basics about prevalence in autism and start there. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, sometimes known as ASD, impacts about 1 in 36 children in the U.S. and 1 in 45 adults. It's a developmental disability that affects a person's communication, their social behavior, how they take in sensory information, and how they process the world. So it's diagnosed using a level system, levels 1 through 3, and that's based on how severely impacted a person is by their autism. Just because a person has a diagnosis that's level 3 does not mean they can't take part in their decision making and be part of the conversation. And just because a person has a diagnosis of level 1 doesn't mean that sometimes they shut down or melt down or experience the world in a very intense way.
Kaden, can you share with us what stresses you out?
Loud noises and doctors and bones.
Doctors and blood work. Thanks for sharing that with us.
It's just whatever it is, depending on the day. We don't know. He also gets really stressed out if he doesn't have someone with him that he loves and trusts. That's been big for him. But especially loud noises have always been a trigger, which in an emergency situation, there's a lot of loud noises.
With autism prevalence at 1 in 36, or about 2 to 3% of the community, it's likely that we're going to meet someone with autism needing support in an emergency or in an urgent situation. In fact, autism individuals are at a higher risk for an emergency related to water safety or drowning, wandering, and even certain co-occurrences health conditions. So we need to know what to do is best to deliver care. Important reminder, rule in or rule out any wandering or water safety issues and take swift action as needed. Then we need to train ourselves to look, listen for indicators that a patient or a person might be on the autism spectrum. 1, check with dispatch for any prior notes in the system for any indicators. 2, on the scene, listen for people to disclose, or they could be using an alternate communication method. 3, seek input from the caregiver or bystanders who may know the patient if there's a communication challenge. And 4, use the training and knowledge you are gaining today to help recognize the signs of ASD.
All right, if you strongly suspect or have identified that your patient is on the autism spectrum and you're helping them along, you can use the mnemonic ASD to guide your next steps. So what does that mean? A stands for accommodations. That means adapting the environment as much as possible to reduce the sensory and stressor inputs that are in the environment. S is just to slow down. Give the person with autism time to process, avoid rushing into care or into action. And then D is just to use deliberate communication. Choose clear language to interact with that person. Just be very clear in the next steps that you're about to deliver in your care. Okay, assuming you're able to use the ASD approach, what does that actually mean? So A, or accommodations, that could be things like reducing the siren or the vehicle noise if possible, turning down your personal radios, offering sensory items like headphones, sunglasses, fidgets, those kind of things from pre-built sensory kits, which we'll show you in a bit. And basically, it's an environmental change that can be done to reduce overwhelming input and stress. Now, how about S for slow down? That just means Approach the person slowly. Have one person from the team designated as that main point of contact. Slow down your rate of speech. Delivery of information slows down to help with that processing. And then slow down your delivery of hands-on care. Finally, D, or deliberate communication, just means use that clear language that's to the point and specific. Give very specific commands like, let's move you from the street to the grass, or I need to look into your mouth with this light, or I'm going to touch your arm to see if your arm is hurt. Without talking down to the person too, or being condescending. That's very important. It also means including them deliberately in your communication and not just talking directly to their caregiver or bystander. You want to make them feel like they're being heard as well.
You might be thinking these strategies are very hard to implement in the midst of an emergency, and you are certainly not wrong.
For us as first responders, it can all be about swift action and efficiency on scene. We know from other EMS and first responders across the country that our usual approaches may actually escalate an autistic person and ultimately make care way more difficult. This ASD approach could make care go so much smoother and situations allow.
We also recognize that the amount of accommodations and adaptations you're going to be able to make are going to be based on how well or sick your patient is, and also how urgent and emergent the situation is. So, needing to quickly remove a person from a dangerous situation, assessing severe trauma, maybe having to intubate a person, clearly those all take precedence. So, you're the expert making the decisions in real time. Trust your instincts, trust your gut, and you'll make the right decision.
Now let's practice these strategies using a scenario you may encounter. Let's imagine you're called to a motor vehicle accident involving a single car that went into the ditch. Dispatch has shared that there are 2 patients on the scene, but reports from a bystander say one patient appears to be upset. When you arrive, you'll see an adult and a child standing by the side of the road, and the child's pacing. Nothing in dispatch provides any additional clues. You and 2 other responders approach to assess the situation. The adult shares that they are the parent, and them themselves are okay, but their child is on the autism spectrum and is very upset. What are your next steps?
Now that I'm aware that this child has a diagnosis, I can start trying to implement the ASD strategies. The lights on our rigs might need to keep running because we're near a busy traffic area, but I can remember to turn my radio down a bit so that it doesn't distract him. Let's let the team know I will take the lead with this child to back away. I might ask another teammate, one of my fire departments, or one of the people in the ambulance to get the sensory bag, which is the Carter kit. I'll slowly approach Caden and let him know my name. I am here to help. Hey buddy, I'm here to help you. I need to assess for any stress or sensory overwhelming and rule out any life-threatening injuries. I know he's out of the car and I don't see anything major happening right now, so I can keep moving on. I'm going to use clear communication, short and small. I'm going to offer some sensory items, maybe some headphones, because our rigs are really loud. We might have sirens going, so I need to block that out for him. I need to check in with his parents or any other caregivers that I see and maybe offer some quieting tips. I need to continue always to make accommodations. I need to slow down all of our team's actions to form our next plans for our action. And I need to communicate with Caden very clearly what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Can you get me the Carter bag? Anna brought me the Carter bag so that I can further assist him. She came slowly, approached him, was quiet, and backed away. Everybody else is staying back. Hey, Caden, I'm here to help you. Can I get some things out of my special bag for you? I can. I'm unzipping the bag for him. Caden, I have this really cool card. Can you tell me how you feel right now? Yeah, good job. Can you show me what you would like to have out of my Carter bag? You want some headphones. Caden wants some now helped Caden just block out the sound. He doesn't have to hear so much, and it's quieter for him.
Right, so what you just watched. Similar approaches can be used on a wide variety of calls with patients and autistic people. Some calls, you might interact with a parent who's on the autism spectrum or somebody who's a bystander on scene. All of these strategies will work. Good news is they can help more people than just the patients with ASD. Last thing I'll say is we're not aiming for perfection. Just do your best. We're all learning together. We're all doing the very best we can. So don't try to be perfect. Your intentional effort to do your best to support the patients and families will go a very, very long way. So thank you.
And of course, we could not have done it with the star of our show, Caden and his mom, Karen. So we want to thank you all for being a part of this today and for watching. I also want to give a big thank you to the Maryland State Department of Education, who made this opportunity possible and helped support us with the funding for the Carter kits that you all will be receiving. So thank you.